Hi folks, today I'm going to tell you about Apache JMeter, which is an open source performance testing tool. On a day-to-day basis, we are coming up with lots of features, with lots of tools like load runner, JMeter and other tools. But JMeter is the best tool as this is open source, and the agenda of this meeting today is to tell you about JMeter. JMeter and its history, why JMeter we use, what are the features of JMeter, then how we install the JMeter, and then we will see a demo on how we use this JMeter. First, what is JMeter and where it come from? Okay, so JMeter is a performance testing tool. As I told you, it is a performance testing tool from Apache. It's a 100% Java desktop application design. Okay, it's a tool based on Java. Okay, then it used Java Swing technology, and Stefano Magoshi is the developer of this tool. Okay, he was testing a performance of Apache JServer, and he developed a tool to test the performance of Apache JServer. Then they converted that particular tool into the GUI mode, and now we can use it via GUI interface. Okay, now the question is why we use JMeter. What are all features? Why we prefer JMeter? What are the features of JMeter? First, it is free as it is open source software. It is a simple and initiative GUI. Third, it's a platform independent tool. Okay, if you want to run it on Linux, if you want to run it on Unix, you can run it by simply clicking on JMeter shell script. Okay, or on Windows, how you can run it is by running jmeter.bat file. Also, whenever you make your test plan or test cases in JMeter, it stores in XML format. Okay, and the result you get, it stores in JTL format. Okay, also JMeter, the protocols it supports is, I have listed down some protocols, which is HTTP, FTP, LDAP, JDBC, web services, SOAP, XML, RPC, but it supports more. Okay, it's just a brief. It's a most common one protocols which I have mentioned here. Now I will tell you from where you can download this JMeter. Yes, go to jmeter.apache.org. Okay, then click on download jmeter.cgi. After you click on it, you get this page where you have the latest version of JMeter, which is 2.11. Okay, which requires Java 6 installed in your system or later. Okay, now click on this and store this zip file. It's a 30 MB, so you can store it. I have already stored it. Extract it from the zip file and store it wherever you want to. Okay, there's no restriction that you have to store it into the C drive or D drive. You can store it wherever you want it. Okay, open it like I have stored it here, and here's the JMeter. These are all files which we get when we extract from zip file. You can see here we have a bin folder. Okay, what bin folder is? In this bin folder, you can see all bat file, sh files of JMeter. Okay, if you want to run your JMeter on Linux or Unix, you have to run the JMeter of sh file. Where is the sh file? Here it is. So if you run jmeter.sh, you can run it on Linux. If you want to run it on Windows, then you have to run JMeter Windows batch file. Okay, after you get it, what you need to do to run this, either you double click on this, or you open a command prompt. Here you get a command prompt. Now go to this location. How we go to this location? CD, and then we will paste the path of that location, then press enter, and you will get that path. Now enter JMeter and write JMeter and press enter. Soon JMeter will open up. Here you can see we have opened up the JMeter. This is the GUI mode of JMeter. Now back to our presentation, what I was telling you. Okay. Now basics part of JMeter. As I told you, JMeter use Java Swing technology. Okay, this is a Java Swing based GUI which I have shown you. This one. Now it use AND for execution purpose. Okay, you must have heard AND. Okay, and you can even if whenever you have created your test cases in JMeter, you can even run those test cases in Maven. Okay, Maven is also a build tool. You can store multiple test cases into Maven and then run it by using one command. You don't need to go to the JMeter, you don't need to open it and run it. You can just execute one command and run it from your command from all your test cases. Now, basic part of JMeter. Now, as I have shown you, this is the JMeter. This is the main page of JMeter. Then it is just telling you that you have to go to the particular directory and go to that bin and then run JMeter. Now I have in my presentation it states JMeter minus h hostname minus port number. Okay, why when we use this is suppose you have a server. Okay, you have a firewall. If you want to run your JMeter behind your firewall, okay, then you have to mention your host name and the port number as well in order to run JMeter. Else you can run your JMeter by entering just JMeter. Now, like this is showing that how we run JMeter and it's press enter. We have already covered this. Installation, this is the prerequisite of JMeter. Before installing JMeter, you should have Java 6 or higher than that and JDK environment 1.3 or higher. Okay. In JMeter, we have different kind of options like test plan, workbench, thread group, samplers, listeners, controllers, assertions, timers, configuration element, preprocessor and post-processor. I'll cover all of them today. Okay, we'll tell you each one of them, whether it's how we use it actually. Now, test plan. What is test plan? Like we do in normal test plan, we write test plan like how many days we have to cover this test cases and what all resources we have. This is it. But in JMeter language, okay, a complete test plan will include thread groups, logic controllers, samplers, listeners, timers, assertions, and configuration element. Now I think you are confused with what is thread group, what is logic controllers, what is samplers, what is listeners, timers, assertions. So I'll cover that as well. But a test plan, just as in a simple language, a test plan is a combination of multiple things. At a test plan, a static variable can be defined. Okay, if you want a static variable to be defined in a test plan, you can define it and use it in your test cases as well. Now workbench. Workbench is what? Workbench is, you can see here, we have two options, one test plan and second is workbench. What is workbench? Suppose you have made n number of 10 test cases, okay, but in order to, you don't want to use some of the test cases for that particular execution test cycle, okay. So what you will do, you will cut those test cases from your test plan and paste it into a workbench. I have stated here that workbench, what is workbench is it's provide a place to temporarily store test elements when they are not in use. Okay, when you save your test plan, workbench items are not saved with it. So make sure whenever you save your test plan, it is not saved in the workbench and you have to move your test cases to your test under test plan if you want to save it, else it will be lost. Now, as I was talking about thread group, what is thread group? Thread group is how many numbers, how many test cases, as you can see here, a particular test case against your server. In thread group, you can control the number of users, okay, how many users you want to put to the server, how many users you want. Suppose you want to put 1,000 users on a website, okay, so you can define the number of users in the thread group. In how many time, in how long it takes to start all the threads, the ramp up time. It shows a ramp up time, okay, as you can see. When I go to test plan, how can you can add a thread group by right clicking on test plan, go to add, then a thread users, and then thread group. Enter it. Thread group, you can name it here, then comments if you have any, then number of threads, as I told you, number of users you want to put on a website or any other thing. Then ramp up period. What is ramp up period in seconds? Ramp up period is just, suppose you have 100 users, okay, you want each user, suppose you have 100 users now, you want each user will execute after 1 second of existing user. You can put number of ramp up seconds as 100. Now suppose at 1 p.m. one user will execute, okay, after 1 p.m. 1 second another user will execute, after 1 p.m. means the third user will execute at 1 p.m. 3 seconds. So this is how it's defined, like defining the gap between the users, defining the time gap between the users, you can say, okay. This is the loop count. You can put a loop on the users, like if you want that particular test case to be repeated for 2 times, for 3 times, or whatever, you can mention the loops. If you want it for forever, you can click on this as well, okay. This is a scheduler. You can schedule also your test cases, then at what time it will start and at what time it will stop, so you can mention it as well. Now thread group, we have covered thread group. Now samplers. What are samplers? Actually, samplers is just to send a request, okay, what the request type you have. So right click on it, we can see the sampler here, add sampler. Now these are all the samplers. JDBC request, if you have JDBC request, if you have FTP request, if you have HTTP request, so you can, depending on your requirements, you can pass on the request. Now I'm taking it as I'm taking HTTP request. I've clicked on it. I can name this HTTP request as whatever I want. So you can say test 1, test case 1, then server name. Suppose you want to do a testing of facebook.com, then www.facebook.com, okay. Then you can mention the path here. What is the path? You can test particular links. I can show you. Okay. Suppose you have opened a Facebook website. I'll take JMeter. I'll take an example of JMeter. It's better to tell you with JMeter. Yes. This is the path of JMeter. Okay. If you want, I'm removing HTTP. Why? I'll tell you the reason behind that. You just need to mention jmeter.apache.org. Then the path is this. If you want only to test the home page. Okay. If you want the download page, you can mention here download jmeter.cj. That's it. Now, as I said, why I've removed HTTP from here? Because it will be attached automatically by JMeter, as you can see here, protocol HTTP. Okay, if you are testing with HTTPS, so you can mention here HTTPS. Okay, now it will open up with HTTPS. So I'm removing this. Okay, now back to our questions. Now I've told you about HTTP request. Here is the listener. Okay, now listener. whenever you execute a test case, okay, you will get some results, okay. You will get a results that is called as listener in JMeter in simple language. Now you can see results in different formats, either aggregate graph, report, results, and view results in table, view results in tree, summarize report. So you can see, let's see in view results in tree. I've added a new view results in tree. Now you can see here, you can name it as you have named it your test case 1, you can name it as well, okay. This is the file name. If you want to save your results to some file, you can browse it and save it as well. So I'll tell you more on this later on. Now, we have covered thread group, samplers, and listeners. Now we have controllers, assertion, and timers. What are controllers? Okay, like we have controllers in Java or in any other programming language. Okay, or if you are not aware of programming language, what are controllers? Controllers are just repeating your task or passing some condition, then repeating your task. You can go here, you can see what all controllers we have. Logical controllers, if controller, if that condition meets, then proceed with the next test case. It's like this kind of thing. Loop controller, include controller, interleave, for each controller, throughput controller, transaction, while controller. So depending on your requirement, you can choose the controller which you want. Okay. Assertions. What are assertions? Okay. Whenever you are running a test case, suppose you run a test case, you wanted to check JMeter Apache, what is the throughput, what is the response time, how much time it takes to open up. Okay. So as we are checking the performance of JMeter Apache.org website. So assertion, it's just to make sure whether we have landed on the correct page or not. Okay. If we want to check whether we have landed on the correct page or not, what we will do, we will add an assertion here. Here you can see we have n number of assertions we have. Bean shell, BSF, compare assertion, duration assertion, HTML assertion. So you can pass on your assertion as you want. You can pass on even XPath assertion. You can take the XPath of the particular element and then pass it on. If that element comes, it will make sure that yes, you are landing on the correct page. So this is the assertion. Now, timer. What is timer? Timer, if you want to put certain time gap between two test cases, you can pass on your timer. Timer will cause JMeter to delay a certain amount of time between each request. Okay. Now we have three more tools, that is config elements, preprocessors, post-processors. In config element, what is config element? You can see here, config element are processed at the start of the scope in which they are found, before any sampler, before anything. Okay. Here you can see config element. These are the config elements. Suppose you want to pick data from an Excel sheet, then you can use CSV data config. Okay, depending on your request, you suppose HTTP request defaults. Okay, HTTP request default is what? Suppose you have a website. Okay, you can mention the website name in the request default because this is the website you will run in the whole test plan. So you can save the default things you have. User defined variables, you can define your variables and all that stuff here. MongoDB source configuration is just to connect that with the MongoDB, so the database. So depending on your requirements, you can use your config. Preprocessor, as the name suggests, before the execution of a sampler request, a preprocessor executes. Okay, like it executes just prior to that simpler element running. Example, user parameters. If we need a user parameters, that will be a preprocessor for us. Post-processor is just after the execution of the sampler request, we can run a post-processor. Post-processor, suppose we have run a sampler request, and we got a result. After getting a result, you want it to convert into a JTL file or something like that, you can use a post processor here. That's it. That covers the whole basic of JMeter. Now I'll run a sample script here, and you will be able to see that how we run it. I'll put 10 users only here, and after each user after 1 second. It will throw each user after 1 second. So JMeter and download one. So now what we will need to do, we can see the results here. We click on it. You should save your test run before running. Yes, we have not saved it, so we should save it first. Now you can see here how many users are running here, 7, 8, 9, and this 10. It's completed. Here we have written forever. As we have written forever, it will execute and it will continue with the execution process. So we have to uncheck it if you want it. So you can see here, we can stop it if you want here by clicking on this. Okay, at the stop. So you can see here, it goes to this. What is the response we get? We landed on correct page or not? How we can see that? As we won't be able to confirm with the text we have got, so we can convert it to HTML download resource, and we will get the whole page. So we are landing on the correct page? Yes, because you can see here the path from where we have downloaded the zip file. So we can see this. This is the request we have done, HTTP org, and then the path. Okay, now if you want to check the performance of your request, you can see here load time 2486, it's all in bytes. Latency, size in bytes, header size in bytes, body size in bytes. Sorry, load time is in milliseconds. Okay, HTTP one 200 because we have got the page. It landed. It opens up the page. It doesn't show any error. So 200. At what time we have run it? So it's showing everything to us. So we have covered the basics, all over basics, and we have seen how we run it. Okay, one more thing here, you can see thread group 1 to 2. Thread group, why the name is this? Because we have not changed the name here. We can change the name here, test 1, test 2, or whatever you want to give, you can give it here, and then execute it, you will get the same name. That's it from my side. Thanks a lot. If you like it, thank you.